Hello and welcome to Finance Conversations. This is the 28th episode of the Merging Life and Money Show, and I am super excited to be here today. If you are new, I am your host, Marie-Jo César. I come to you live every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to share valuable information about how to achieve financial wellness and live your life with means and meaning. Today, we are going to talk about an important subject that touches most of us at some point in our lives, and that is long-term care. Long-term care is something most of us will need as we grow older. And to help me with this important topic, I have with me Eric Dudley, an independent financial advisor who is an experienced holistic financial advisor specializing in retirement planning, investing solution, and life insurance. Eric is actually the founder and president of Dudley Financial Group. And one of the Dudley Financial Group main goals is to help their clients build their best tomorrow while protecting them today. Welcome, Eric, to the Merging Life and Money Show. And welcome, followers and listeners. Thank you for joining in today. So grab a pen and a notebook, as you might want to take some notes to discuss them further with family members, friends, colleagues, etc., because it is about sharing values that could benefit others. So if you have any comments or questions, make sure to put them in the chat. And if you are watching the replay, make sure to type #replay in the chat and leave me some comments and questions. So long-term care is a complex subject, as it includes everything from assisted living to skilled nursing facilities to in-home care. And according to a recent study, 52% of adults reaching 65 today will require long-term assistance with daily activities such as eating, dressing, and bathing during their senior years. Unfortunately, this type of care is extremely expensive and for many Americans, downright unaffordable. So most seniors simply do not have the average $100,000 a year for a nursing home or $45,000 for assisted living, nor do they have $33,000 for in-house care. Okay, so long-term care is something most of us will need as we grow older. So let us find out a little bit more. So today I will focus on and talk about three main points with my guest, Eric. And they are the challenges of long-term care, the way to pay for long-term care, and the features of long-term care insurance. So Eric, we can never know for sure if we will need long-term care, right? Maybe we will never need it, but an unexpected accident, illness, or injury can change our needs, sometime suddenly, right? So I would say that the best time to think about long-term care is before you need it, as it allows us to make important decisions while we are still able. So tell me, Eric, what is really long-term care and what are its challenges?
Well, thanks for having me on today. I really appreciate it. Long-term care is something that I'm pretty passionate about because about 6 years ago, my mother-in-law got diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. She went through it for 6 years and just recently passed away. It is having somebody who has a long-term illness can be very financially challenging and extremely emotionally challenging to the family. So as I saw my wife's family working through this hard time, I thought, wow, I really would like to help clients and help people set themselves up so that they can have financial security in case something like that happens. Now, when you talk about long-term care is something that I would define as being at least 90 days of critical illness or assisted living needs. So if it's something that's only 30 days long, that wouldn't be considered long-term care. It would be something at least 90 days or more. And the statistics show that many people, as many as 50% of Americans that live to be 79 years old or longer, will require at least 90 days or more in some type of long-term situation, where whether they're either at home or in some type of assisted living facility. So a lot of people are affected by this, and it is very expensive. So if you have not planned for it, it can be overwhelming to people's finances.
Okay, so the out-of-pocket cost of long-term assistance can be, as you said, catastrophic if you're not ready for it. And few people have the necessary resources to meet this need. So under these circumstances, how can seniors and their families afford to pay for long-term care when they need it?
Well, one of the problems is there's a lot of myths that go around that people believe. They think that Medicare is going to be able to cover long-term care situations, and that's just not true. Medicare will cover the first 20 days of assisted living fully, and then after the 20th day, from the day 21 until day 100, they'll cover everything except for the copayment, which is around $150 a day. And that right there is enough to really hurt people financially. But after day 100, Medicare will not cover anything. The person is on their own. Now, when you consider that many people who are in nursing home facilities will stay as long as 2 to 2.5 years after 100 days, which is 30, or that's just 3 months basically, the cost can be astronomical.
Mm-hmm.
There's other options. If a person had Medicare supplemental insurance, a lot of people like to buy the Medicare supplemental, or what is called Medigap insurance, whenever they turn 65. It's a great product to be able to cover all the needs that Medicare doesn't cover for normal healthcare needs, but it does not cover custodial assistance for people who have long-term care, meaning that if you need somebody to be at your house, in-home nurse, a in-home assistant, it will not cover people who will be there to buy you groceries, to make your food, and to take care of you at home. It won't cover those types of things. It won't cover them in the facilities either. So anybody who's doing that, you would have to pay out of pocket for. So Medicare supplemental plans are great, but not comprehensive for long-term care situations. And then, of course, there's Medicaid. Medicaid is a supplemental plan that's from state to state, and it's primarily for people who do not have the money to be able to pay for healthcare needs once they turn 65. In order to qualify for that, you would have to have a means test, meaning that you would have to have it changes from state to state, but it would be you'd have to prove that you didn't have resources. You'd have to prove that you didn't have any money in the bank, any IRAs, any 401ks, anything saved up, you would have to use those first in order to qualify for Medicaid. And it used to be that you could just give it away to your family, but that's not the case anymore.
Okay. So you did mention as well long-term care insurance as a possibility to fund this long-term care in your golden years. So tell us more about it. Also, tell us also who would be best served by long-term care insurance.
Yeah, well, long-term care insurance used to have kind of a bad reputation because it was primarily for just wealthy people because it was pretty expensive. In the past, you would buy into long-term care. It would cost a lot of money, and you could use it. And if you didn't use it, you might lose that money. But things have changed a lot. Now, the way that long-term care is done now, they have what is called hybrid long-term care policies. They give you lots and lots of options. So even if you don't have a ton of money to be able to spend on long-term care insurance, you can still get a lot of coverage just in case. I mean, there's a lot of people who don't stay in the hospital for 2.5 years or 5 years or 10 years or whatever, but you can get coverage to where that you could have it just in case you're in there for 6 months or a year. You can make sure that you cover yourself for a certain amount of months, or you can even get coverage that's like an annuity to where that if you run out of money, it will cover you for the rest of your life. Okay, that's a rider, so that you can make sure that you're covered, all the way until you pass away. So there's all sorts of ways to design the policy so that you can pay payments while you're still working. And there's a lot of really exciting ones that many people don't know about. If you start buying long-term care coverage while you're still working, like let's just say you're a small business owner, the premiums can be tax deductible. So you pay off all your premiums before you actually retire. And then you don't have any premiums after you retire and you've gotten into your senior years. So there's a lot of ways you can design it. And there's a lot of benefits to it too. You can pay not only for nursing care facilities, but you can also pay for in-home care through skilled workers, or there's even programs where you can pay family members who have to come in to help you to supplement their change of life because they're assisting you. You can pay them. So there's lots of ways to be able to design the plan and be able to assist you as best as possible.
Okay, so I heard terminologies such as guaranteed renewal and all that kind. How does this apply to a long-term care insurance? I mean, waiver of premium and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some of the characteristics of a long-term care policy is you would get a free look. Free look means that you get to keep the policy for 30 days, see if you like it, see if it's going to cover the things that you want. And then you get to back out completely, get reimbursed for whatever within the 30-day period. Also, guaranteed renewable is super important. That means that while you're covered, if you were to have a disease that you are contracted with, the insurance company couldn't raise your rates and they couldn't cancel you. So that's, of course, very important for long-term care. Also, there's a level premium. So you have a level premium, meaning that even as you get older, as you get sicker, your premiums never go up. And you can even get riders where you have a waiver of premium. So if you're put into an institution for nursing care, you can have your premiums waived. Okay, so you don't have to pay them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was saying, you don't even have to have premiums at that time. You can actually pay for the premiums while you're in your working years, so that by the time that you actually are using the long-term care insurance, if you ever have to, it's already been paid for.
Right.
One of the biggest
Mm-hmm.
plans, riders, is this. We were talking about how expensive it is, and I mean, it is expensive. It's nursing homes average $100,000 a year. Many in-home help will cost you $30,000, $40,000 a year. But that is just the tip of the iceberg, because inflation is going to go crazy in this field. When you consider that 10,000 Americans every single day turn 65, that our population is going to be 21% over 65 by 2050. The demand for these facilities is going to be astronomical. So consider that now it's $100,000. By 2040, it easily could be $400,000 a year for 1 year for one patient in a nursing home facility.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost impossible to save that much money it is impossible to save that much money for most people. And of course, then you got to think, if you have a spouse, you might be looking at two people, $800,000 a year, just for 1 year. And so it is devastating, and it could definitely cause financial ruin. But there are options, and there's plans that can help.
Great, which really highlight the importance of planning for your retirement very, very early, because you could have a very rich 401k plan with upwards of $1 million in it, and then it's going to cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars just to take care of your health and help and all of that. So this tells us, it brings it home even more, that do not hesitate. Start planning for your retirement now. Okay, particularly for the younger one, where time is on their side, so they could totally take advantage of the of investment options that are a vehicle that are readily available to them, and the whole compounding effect and the dollar cost average. All the good things that will make your money grow for you. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Eric, thank you very much for that information. I am going to wind down and sum it all up. So today we talked about the challenges of long-term care, the way that you could pay for long-term care, and just now we just chatted about the features of long-term care insurance. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with this last thought, and a lot of it would probably replicate what Eric mentioned, but it's so very important. So as I mentioned earlier, long-term care is something most of us will need as we grow older. Okay, we don't have much of a choice in that matter. The current growth of the population, as you said, Eric, ages 65 and older, driven largely by the baby boomer generation, has never been seen like that before in U.S. history, and looking at and that is a case globally anyway. So while elderly Americans are just about the only group of U.S. citizens whose health care is universally insured as an entitlement, elders who need a long-term care do not have much protection, though. You mentioned Medicare, which is a federal program for the elderly and disabled. This covers many of the costs of acute medical care, but only loosely covers some long-term care services. And Medicaid, as you well indicated, which is the federal/state health program, covers long-term care, but only for people who are poor or who become poor paying for long-term care or medical care, right? And I always say, always remember, you said that as well, that who gets what kind of services under Medicaid varies from state to state. Okay, so for many long-term services and supports, services and supports are provided within the home, right, by unpaid family and friends acting as caregivers. And these former caregivers face high increased stress and often feel unprepared for the role. And they also, it could be a loss of income for them as well. And this is very much the case for women having to leave work and be the caregiver for their elderly parents. So when informal networks of families and friends are unable to cover their loved ones' care needs, you have assisted living, community, nursing, home help to fill the gap. But as you well said, they come with a high cost to people in need of care and their families. So despite all of this, believe it or not, Americans continue to feel confident that they can rely on their family for support as they age and have not done much planning at all for their future or current needs for ongoing assistance. So my advice to you, listeners and followers, is to not let long-term care needs meet you by chance. Okay, plan ahead. So I hope that today's show has helped you clarify the importance of proper planning for long-term care. Okay, so when saving for this event, you must decide how you want to get care, okay, the type of care you want to receive, who will provide that care. You must also grant permission for family members to provide care and develop a way to finance the costs. Okay, so as you know, I like to end the show with a quote, and today's quote is from Abraham Lincoln, and it reads, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." Okay, so set aside your money, select the way you want to spend your retirement, and more, very much taking into consideration the potential for illnesses and sickness, and that comes along with the territory, as I would say. Okay, so before I forget, Eric, can you tell the audience how they can contact you? Should they need to chat with you or to get some information from you?
Sure, MJ. The best way is to go to my website at dudleyfinancialgroup.com. You can contact me through there. It's got my phone number and it's got my email address right there.
Great. And for the viewers, the information, Eric's information is actually showing on the screen at the moment. So make sure to write it down. Eric, I want to take this time to thank you for being my guest today and addressing such an important topic. Okay, so here we are nearing the end of the show, and so for more information about how to achieve financial wellness from the inside out and live a purposeful life with the money you have, join me next week, Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 9 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time for my Bermuda friends over there, and 10 a.m. Friday for my Australian friends. Thank you for being here today on the Merging Life and Money Show. I am your host, Marie-Jo César. I will be back again next week. Until then, continue merging life and money. Bye for now.